Hey friends, Peggy Hall back with you streaming live. I am doing nonstop coverage of this Maui disaster, as I would say, a planned disaster. I hate to use that phrase, but that is what the evidence is adding up for me. So today is Tuesday and it's August 15th. It's exactly a week since the fires were set, since all of this very questionable, concerning, I can't even find the words because it's so reprehensible and heinous, all of these actions that have been carried out. I have an entire Maui fire playlist that I will have linked for you in the description box below. If you want to contact me, there's a link in the description box below. I have talked about how things don't add up. I've talked about Josh Green New Deal and how he is ushering in at a very rapid pace all of the UN agendas that he is behind. I have spoken out about how they do it. Yes, DEW. I'm going to be bringing you a video on the actual laser center that is run by the Air Force. Guess where? On the island of Maui. I've brought you and have broken down the actual words of these actors that are playing their parts. And I've told you that the mayor is brand new. He started in 2023. The governor started in 2023. The police chief, yes, that's what I call him, the chief of police. He started, let's see, I have my notes here. I think that was in 2022. And the fire chief started in October of 21. So these are all new kids on the block. And isn't it interesting that they all came on the scene? I have been covering this in great detail, and I'm grateful for those of you that are sending me links and so forth. A lot of the other YouTubers and people on Instagram and other websites are actually sharing my research. And I'm so grateful for that, because I'm spending, countless hours, every waking hour digging into this. As a result, I've got like hundreds of pages of research that I'm pulling together. And my goal is to bring you a little bit more bite-sized information so that you can share the videos more quickly. I am not running any sponsor messages. Maybe I did on one of them for the fire coverage, because it's so important. I want to get right to the heart of the matter. I will be bringing you some coverage on some other important issues in terms of our religious freedom and other things that are going on. And I will be thanking the sponsors there, but let's just dive right into it here. I titled this Governor Green Wants Government to Take Over Maui Land, because that came directly from his own mouth. I'm going to take you on over to Twitter. Yes, I refuse to call it X marks the Musk. I've done videos on that as well. So just to let you know that if you are new to the channel or you're new to my coverage, I have been doing nonstop coverage of this for a week. And it's likely that a lot of your questions and concerns and things that don't add up have already been answered in the previous videos. I will be referring to some of that information because it is important going forward. I think one of the most important videos to watch is yesterday's, in terms of why the emergency management alert system didn't go. It's not exactly what you might think, and it's going to serve their agenda of having even a more tightly locked down smart city, which is a stupid city, in my opinion, in their sustainable goals. So I'm going to be bringing you more and more of this coverage. I have a lot of things that don't add up in terms of what is coming out of their own mouths in terms of these actors, these characters that were put on the scene to play their parts, to play their roles. So let's do this. And you know that they often will actually speak the truth from time to time, so that later they can go back and say, well, I said that the government was going to take over the land. Well, I said that, and you can fill in the blank. There are many people, and I'll be bringing these reports, that say it looked like it was a blowtorch. It looked like it was a bomb that went off. It looked like Hiroshima. They're speaking the truth. In the very beginning, I think it was the very first day of the fire breaking out, somebody said, this looks like exactly what happened in Paradise. And again, Paradise Lost, which I believe the author of that book died on August 8th. I have to verify that, but that's something that I came across. So all of these things, in my view, are done intentionally. And if it's not intentional, they certainly are profiting off whatever might have been a natural occurrence. The fact is that there are many side effects that the evildoers are applauding. And I have a video by that name as well. Before we dive in, I also want to say one other thing. I have made mistakes on this channel, and I probably will continue to make mistakes on this channel because I am only human. And I go on the best information that I have at the time. And I have gone back and I have actually said specifically regarding those people that escaped into the ocean. I have stated that now that I have a bigger picture and a better picture and a better understanding, and there's actually eyewitness footage, that I am recanting on that comment about that sounded so strange that people would flee a beach as if the beach was on fire. I didn't have at that time all of the information that I have now. And there were those that have reports that they perished. My heart goes out to everyone. And there are those that were in the water for so long that they were getting fatigued, and that's why there were rescues. When we tried to verify with the Coast Guard, they would not give us any information, and that's why it made me skeptical. If there is something that I've reported on that you have verifiable evidence that I've made a mistake, please email support@thehealthyamerican.org. My heart and prayers are with everyone that has suffered this horrendous, preventable event, regardless of whether it was inflicted upon them or whether some of you, maybe not on this channel, but some people believe that it happened just through, forces of nature. Whatever the case may be, there are those that are suffering, and my prayers are with all of them. I went to New Orleans in the aftermath of Hurricane Katrina. And back then I was still early in my kind of waking up to the truth of what was going on. That was in 2005. But even then, things didn't add up to me. I slept in a FEMA tent because they were not allowing anybody into that area of New Orleans unless you had documentation and you had approval to go in. So I've been through these disasters. I put my own lifetime energy. I paid for all of that. I slept in a car for 10 days because there were no hotel rooms. I went back for a second time. I airlifted animals. I arranged for private planes to get the animals out of New Orleans. So I have been on the front lines of these disasters. I'm not doing this just because I have a YouTube channel. I have a very deep driving desire to expose the truth. God put me here to expose evil, and I will do it with my last unobstructed God-given breath of life. So when I talk about these, I'm not in any sense of the word trying to be flippant or snarky regarding those who are suffering. I'm being flippant and snarky about those who have inflicted this suffering on others, just so that we're clear. And many, many mahalos going out to my Hawaiian brothers and sisters. Some of them have taken me to task saying, Peggy, you don't know what it's like here on the ground. And I don't know what it's like there on the ground. So my goal is to expose the evil doers who are behind this. And I also will say this. It's very, very difficult for many people to face the reality that their own government or another government, choose whatever government you want of any other country, is out to get you. I understand that. It's like with the cooties hogwash. People did not want to believe that the government could lead them astray. They didn't want to believe that the cat dog cat agency would actually not have their best interests at heart. And to this very day, I know people that I think are intelligent and normal and rational that have still, they're hanging onto it hook, line, and sinker. They do not want to let that go because of all of the sacrifices and upset that they had in their life. They don't want to believe that it happened for nothing. They can't face the reality that there actually are people that are betraying you, that want to see you gone. It's the extermination plan. And I did a video months ago called Methods of Human Extermination. And I'm not doing that to alert, or actually to alert you, but not to alarm you. It's to have more information, number one, so that you can outwit the nitwits and not feel as though they're pulling the wool over your eyes. And number two, I come on here day in, day out, nearly every day, because I want you to know that you are not alone in what you are seeing. Many of you have emailed, and I've had thousands of comments on YouTube and other social media and emails and text messages saying, Peggy, I feel like I'm going crazy because my family doesn't see what I see. And I love to come on your broadcast because you affirm and validate my concerns. That's why I'm here, friends. When it comes down to solutions to this, it is about being prepared, getting right with God, living each day fully, loving your loved ones, spending time doing what you love to do in your life so that you're not caught off guard when your time comes. In terms of how do we shut down the New World disorder, my answer is we are going to defy it no matter what. And I hope that the people of Maui and Hawaii are going to rise up against these evildoers, against these, I have a lot of choice words that I'm too polite to say on this channel, against these bad guys, how about that, who are trying to rip out decimate, rip out people's homes, their way of life, decimate the land, and then in Josh Green New Deal's words, build back better. I've got several videos about that as well. So I had to make that introduction for those of you that are new, those of you that have been following me for years, but you haven't watched the other videos, and you might think that this is the first one that I've made. And hey, Peggy, you missed all that other stuff. I am on it with my research assistant, Olivia. She's bringing lots of information as well. And as I say, we're overwhelmed with the information, but we are going to continue to speak out on it. Some of my videos will be longer than others. Some will be shorter than others. And as always, I strive to add value and to bring something new. And it's not fear mongering. It is helping people to open their eyes so that you can actually engage your intellectual mind, get out of the emotional center. And I really encourage you to take a break from this coverage so that you're not riveted. And my goal is to kind of distill it for you, so you don't need to watch all the other websites and all of that, but come here for the distillation, I would say, of what's going on. So on that note, let me take you right on over to this information that I found on Twitter. And it's a very short, it's 20 seconds, and I will show this to you, and I will also unplug my audio so that you can hear this as well. All right, here we go. Let me share my screen. Okay, so this comes from Michael Hennessy. It's called Snowflake News. I have not seen his channel before, but here is a video that he linked up to. And I'll read to you the caption. Governor Josh Green New Deal, that's what I call him because he's all about the Green New Deal, said he is thinking about ways for the state to acquire land to use for workforce housing. What is workforce housing? What is that? The slave people are going to be living there, or open space as a memorial for those lost? And then just a reminder, on January 3rd, 2023, Maui announced plans to become one of the first American smart city 15-minute cities. I don't have a link for that, but I am looking for it. I do have, however, a month ago when he spoke at the UN, and I'm going to play that for you in just a moment. In order for a 15-minute smart city to be implemented, the unelected globalist must first control the land, and there's no private ownership. That's the commentary. So here we have the interview, and I will turn up the sound. Oh, I'm buffering here, aren't I? It's because I have so many windows open from my research. Let's make sure that you'll be able to hear this, and I'll turn up my sound as well. All right, here we go.
Back into families, or to make it open spaces in perpetuity.
Okay, let me back it up here.
This is what Governor Josh Green had to say, along with the FEMA director, about preserving Lahaina moving forward.
I'm already thinking about ways for the state to acquire that land so that we can put it into workforce housing, to put it back into families, or to make it open spaces in perpetuity as a memorial to people who were lost.
Okay, that's exactly what he said. I'm looking into ways for the state to acquire the land for workforce housing. I find that to me is so, it just really rubs me the wrong way. Like the segregation of the society, of the community. Oh, so there will be the rich people that don't work, and then the workforce housing. It's very troubling to me. Or to keep it open as a memorial for those lives lost in perpetuity, meaning forever. I will say that I believe that it is, think about events, and maybe even you've had a loved one, who has passed away, and you have a tombstone or a marker or something, you've planted a tree in their name, something along those lines. I don't think there's anything inherently wrong in having a remembrance of those lives that were lost. However, when I have seen again and again and again and again and again, these orchestrated events where there are huge public memorial features, and then of course there will be movies that are made and books that are going to be written, to me, it is a re-traumatizing of the public. Now, if you want to have something, a nice plaque, as I say, maybe a tree that's built, maybe there is a little garden or something that you can walk in, but to have something front and center in that city, It reminds me like of 9/11, all that open space. And to me, it is a re-traumatization. I might be having a different opinion about this than you do, but I don't think that's a very good use of that land. The other thing, and I'm going to play this for you in just a moment, is it's another interview that he did speaking about what he's going to do with the land. Let me see if I have that queued up for you. I may need to do that in a follow-up video. Actually, here's what I want to play for you. I will do the land purchases in a follow-up video because I think it needs its own focus. So I'll do that as a second video for you this afternoon. What I want to do is play you this short clip. It's just a little bit over a minute of a news report of Josh Green New Deal and what he says at the United Nations just a few weeks ago. It was less than a month prior to this disaster. And then I'm going to show you the link that he's referring to related to the Aloha Project on Maui and how it completely aligns with the United Nations. For those of you that may not realize, the United Nations, which started back in the 1940s after World War II, some would say that World War II was the reason for World War II was to create the beginning of this one world government. In fact, it really started previously with the Council for Foreign Relations. But the point is that the United Nations is in New York, and it is where representatives from all different countries come together. And it's you might think in the beginning, well, that's great, world peace and collaboration and compromise and understanding and cultural exchanges, and that's great. But when it comes to one global governance, that's not great. Think about your own family. Do you get along with everybody in your family? Do you all have the same ideas? Can you all agree on what you want to do next week? Or do you have some, disputes even with your own family? What about in your own neighborhood? Do you live in an HOA and there are people on the board that you don't agree with? How in the non-spinning world, yes, give me evidence that it spins and then I'll take a closer look. How in the world can you have a global government when in California we don't even agree on what the laws should be? So this is where it's a slippery slope, and I am completely opposed to the United Nations and to their agendas, because they have several of them. And I'm certainly opposed to people like Josh Green New Deal who want to push this forward. Gee willikers, what a perfect coinkydink for this disaster, and it is a disaster, this natural disaster to occur so that he can get a better report on his report card for these sustainable development goals. Let me share my screen and you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. And we will go right to this news report. Okay, here we go. And I'm sorry, I had my audio unplugged. You're just gonna have to bear with me, friends, with the sound. I either have to unplug it or plug it in. So I'm gonna leave it unplugged. I think you can hear me, and we'll listen to the news report.
Was one of dozens of leaders and presenters from around the world who spoke at a high-level political forum on sustainability and hosted by the United Nations. The local regional government's discussion brings together dignitaries to share how they're implementing Sustainable Development Goals, or SDGs. During the governor's speech, he spoke on the traditional ahupua'a model. That's a socio-economic division of land from mountain to ocean. Now, he says the viable values that come from that help when making policy.
In the old days, decades, generations, and even centuries ago, thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of people lived in Hawaii and had a sustainable culture for food. And that was something that we still recognize. To that end, we have done some things, and we hope to be able to share this much more in time. One is the Aloha Plus Challenge, which is a data-driven approach, which we can share with our states and with anyone who feels that it would be helpful to track the SDGs, to make sure that we embed them in all of our policies.
Well, Governor Green envisions Hawaii one day being a bridge to other nations as a sustainable ally.
All right, hang on a second. All right, I'm back on the microphone. I do apologize for the variation in the sound. He barely could croak out the words. sustainable development. He started because, you know, sometimes when you're lying, it's a little bit hard to get those words out, or when you're being disingenuous. So let me share with you that Aloha Plus that he's talking about, that he wants to have it be a model for other states. That also troubles me as well. We don't need a model for other states, right? Each state is its own state. We don't need to follow what they're doing. Let me share my screen again, and we will hop on over, and here we go. Okay. Oh, actually, I wanted to share this with you. This is from the World Economic Forum, the resilience for sustainable inclusive growth. And of course, the Build Back Better, which is what he wants to do, and he's mentioned many times. And the World Economic Forum. And here is the Aloha Challenge. So you can see right here, Sustainable Development Goals. This is taken directly from the United Nations. They're not even hiding it. This is exactly from the United Nations. The Aloha Plus Challenge is a statewide commitment to achieve Hawaii's sustainability goals and locally driven framework to implement the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. There you have it. It's right there. So it says it was inspired by island leadership commitments. Okay, hang on a second. Before we talk about that, I do need to tell you that Josh Green has been in politics on Hawaii since about 2004. He was in the state House of Representatives from 2004 to 2008. From 2008, I think it was until 2018, I believe that period of time, he was a senator. And then he was the lieutenant governor when the cooties hogwash was sloshed all over. Hawaii was probably the most shut down state because it was an island, and you could not even get on that island unless you showed your nasal Schwab assault and all of that. Yes, that's how I say it. And so it was very, very, very shut down as a consequence. And I don't know exactly why it is. Let me know what you think it is. But they have a very, very high rate of human pincushions on that island. And I have friends on, or not just on that island, in that state. I have friends in that state that I thought were very rational and clear-minded, and they went along with everything hook, line, and sinker. So he was very, very, full on with all of the cocktails and all of that during that time. And then he ran for governor. He ran against a native Hawaiian who was a Republican. And for some unknown reason, this Haole, as they're referred to, which is an outsider, a non-Hawaiian, was selected to be the governor just in time for all of these natural disasters that were carried out. He also boasts about during the measles outbreak, because that's so deadly, during the measles outbreak of 2017, or was it 2018? Let me take you right over there. He said that he was very proud of his work that he did. It was in a different country, and they injected 37,000 children. I'm trying to see if I can find that as well. I'll have to bring that up in another, where did I jot that down? Again, friends, oh my gosh, I've got so many documents here for you. Anyway, that is a little bit on the background of Josh Green New Deal. So let's take a look at what this Green New Deal, here we go. He served in the state of Hawaii representatives 2004 to 2008. From 08 to 18, he was in the Hawaii State Senate. I'll just share my screen for you here so you can see what I'm talking about. These were notes that I took off of the governor's website. And he was on the Health and Human Services Committee. And then here we go. He went to Western Samoa. It was 2019. How convenient. In 2019, when the measles epidemic hit, he led a team of more than 75 doctors, nurses, and other medical professionals on an emergency mission to Western Samoa. His team successfully injected 37,000 people. All right, this is the element that we're dealing with. Again, one of the new kids on the block. All right, let's go back to this Aloha Challenge. So when you look at this, and you can go to, here are their sustainability goals for Hawaii. A culture of sustainability. So I just kind of went through here. There's clean energy, local food, natural resource management, waste reduction, smart, sustainable communities, and green workforce and education. Well, he just said he wanted to use that land to build workforce housing. Here you go. Here's the green workforce. Let's click through here, shall we? The smart, sustainable communities. Increase livability and resilience in the Built Back Better environment through planning and implementation at the state and county levels. And then they've got the targets of what they want to do. What caught my eye when I was researching this was the resilience and disaster management. So these numbers line up with the United Nations. By 2030, to withstand and recover from acute physical shocks and chronic stresses by reducing vulnerability, building resistance, and increasing adaptive capacity. It doesn't even make sense. All right, our land use, open, public, and green spaces, right? He wants to keep some of Lahaina open, as he said. So yes, I am connecting the clots for you here. Affordable housing, because the government, state government, is going to be subsidizing some of that. And natural resource management, clean energy is another one, of course, that they want to look at. I will have and of course it's electricity, right? Even though people don't understand that electricity comes from gas and oil and coal, because that's how you create electricity. It doesn't come from those wind farms and the solar panels, very few. So this is another of how they're going to bankrupt the people and suffocate and strangle them. So this is what I wanted to share with you today, friends, was a very clear link between Josh Green New Deal, his connection to the United Nations, and how convenient that this unspeakable disaster occurred right after he became governor, right after the mayor of Maui became the mayor. So they cleaned out all the other guys. And then a year or two into the cheat of police and the cheat of fire, I'm going to be bringing you some interviews with those cheat, the fire cheat and the police cheat. And you're going to hear from their own words, if you can even understand their own words. In one case, the video is outrageous. So I'm going to continue this nonstop coverage, because I want you to be critical thinkers so that you will be able to assess these things as they happen. And the more people that have eyes on what is going on, we will be able to speak up and speak out and alert others as to this. I am sorry, friends, I'm not able to see your comments right now. I will take a look at your comments. Give me a few minutes as I queue up my next information that I'm going to bring to you. It's nonstop. It's just relentless. And I am also following all of their press releases and their news conferences. And I was chatting live and I was putting my comments, and a Healthy American emailed me. She said, Peggy, every time you put up a comment, it immediately was taken down. It was deleted by their on the chat. And I was just saying things like, how can, cars melt at 1400 degrees when it takes 2500 degrees to melt? Why didn't the emergency broadcast system work? I was just asking questions, and apparently they didn't like that. And I think it's important that we ask questions. It's more important to ask questions that can't be answered than to have answers that can't be questioned. All right. My goal coming up is I want to break down a little bit more of this news conference. I want you to hear from the chief of police himself. He was so abusive. So talk about those that were holding the news conferences were saying, please be respectful and polite. It was their way of sort of deflecting the hard questions. Although I will say that the Hawaiian culture is one that values respect very highly. So I do understand that. But this chief of police is completely the opposite. He is aggressive. He is abusive. It's like, that is the kind of guy that you don't want to have, harassing you or hassling you. I'll just let him speak for himself. All right, friends, be sure that you watch the video yesterday when I showed all of the laughing, smiling faces. Yes, for those characters that were really experiencing a great deal of distress in this disturbing time. They looked very distraught as they were laughing and joking in that news conference. Now, some of you have said, Peggy, just because there's a disaster doesn't mean we're never going to smile again. I understand. I've had traumatic losses in my life. I certainly wasn't laughing and joking a couple of days after them. I'll tell you that. All right, friends, back with you very shortly. Be sure that you subscribe to my Substack. It's free. The link is in the description box below. That will give you some deep dives on this information for people that don't want to watch videos. There will be links and analysis so that you can dig more deeply. See you soon, everybody. I really appreciate you.